Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the summary for the day of phone call. Where's my phone? Oh, sorry, phone call. Yeah, you see, totally transparent, no facade, like as real as it gets. So anyway, yeah, and totally unprofessional. Okay, let's go to okay. So again, we're gonna restart the beginning again. So welcome to the situation report for the day of 875 for the 17th of July for the Ukraine war or the special military operation in Ukraine. And we're gonna start off with frontline changes report. There's a lot of frontline changes. Everything is red, so for the pro-Ukrainians, you can tune out now. There's no good news. Anyway, there's frontline changes that started here: Voschansk, Stepova, Novoselivka, Terny, Kalinina, Zelizny, Bivnishny, and Vodiane. So we go into studies here. So over at the Kharkiv front, based on the Russian mapping, the based by Ribas mapping, this is not a very accurate version of the mapping. But this is based on something based on how I can see it, because they didn't really show a zoom in version. So but for based on what I can observe, the Russians mapping have claimed the entire of studies here, and so this corroborates with the Russian Defense Ministry's claim that they have captured studies here. But this is not captured. This is just a claim. So the Ukrainian mapping will not change. The blue mapping will remain, and then we will just wait for geolocation and other information to corroborate whether the Russians have such a big change or but more advanced position in this area here. So after studies here, we have frontline changes at Voschansk. So according to the Russian reports, the Russian forces have actually managed to advance and control the entire industrial area, and they managed to control straighten the front line and have a better connection with the Russian forces over at the aggregate plant. So that's about it. It's still a claim. It's not really a confirmed thing yet. But it does make sense. I don't think the Ukrainians can hold that position. So anyway, we move on. The next frontline change is over at Stepova, Novoselivka, over at the Kupiansk front. So Kupiansk, Stepova, Novoselivka. So there's a geolocation of Russian forces in the south of Stepova, Novoselivka along the railway, making advance in the westerly direction. The front line, the move is around half a kilometer. So even though this is very zoom out, it looks very small, everything looks very near, but actually these are all massive fields, huge expanse of ground. So even this small little poke over here, this poke is actually 500 meters. So it's actually pretty far of a distance to capture in a very heavily contested area. So after Stepova Novoselivka, we go into Terny. Over at Terny at the Kalinina front, there is Russian forces geolocated. This is one of the latest information in this Gali region, and this confirms Russian capture of this sector of territory, and this also invalidates some of these Ukrainian claims that was overlapping the Russian ones. So Russian forces is now heading in a different direction. So previously they were attacking in this area here, and they do not have much success as the Ukrainians managed to counterattack in this area. So now the Russians are going to try a new route. So let's see how this develop. And the next frontline change is over at Kalinina. So over at Bakhmut front, so this is Bakhmut city, and at Kalinina, some massive news coming out from this region. The Russian forces has captured Kalinina. This is based on Deep State U8 Ukrainian mapping, where the Russian forces have captured the entirety of this area here in a massive development of the front line lining up along the canal. As I mentioned multiple times, this is where the Russians are planning to do. They're trying to capture everything east of the canal. They are not going to cross the canal. I don't think they're going to cross the canal. There is no reason to go over there until you really consolidate your grounds and on the eastern part of this canal. Anyway, this is what happened. This is reported by the Ukrainian side, so this is not propaganda from the Russian side. So it's just propaganda from the Ukrainian side. So the next frontline chase after Kalinina is at Zalizny. So over at the New York front, at the battle of at the Torres offensive, Russian forces have made advances over at Zalizny as well as Pivnishny. There's two different regions. So based on the mapping by Deep State UA, they have disclaimed this area here. So meaning that the Russians have now have a more advanced position, and they have captured at least another high-rise building around here, so controlling much more grounds and actually getting closer to the Russian mapping in this area here. But the Russian seems to be pretty fine about holding a positions around here, so we will just wait and see how this develop. Pivnishny's advance seems to have slowed down by a lot. I'm not sure if it has something to do with this massive castle. No, I call this hill castle. It looks like a castle to me. Is that Bakhmut? The high-rise buildings, cluster of high-rise buildings look like a citadel. I call it a citadel, and somehow other sources starting to call every single cluster of high-rise building citadel. I don't think it should be worked in that way. It should look like a citadel if you want to call it a citadel. So this looks like a castle. So this is a castle. I did saw a geolocation claiming this area as a citadel. Not to me. It doesn't look very citadel-ish to me. I mean, if you look at Bakhmut's citadel, I know I'm moving away, but you can see this cluster of high-rise building. This is a one massive citadel. This looks like a very, very powerful defensive position. Not this one, right? Not this. This is nothing. No, this is something that the Russians have already captured around here. So it's not a citadel. I just want to clarify, because people are starting to use my terminology, and then they don't understand why I call it that way. So anyway, but anyway, this castle around here might be defending this entire area, causing the Russians to be unable to move forward because of the advantage, the height advantage around here that the Russians have to deal with. So, and over at the Zalizny, the Russians continue to hook up and capture a school along the way, and so now the Russian soldiers can get educated. Education is very important. So if you are still schooling, remember to do your homework, study for your test. Your spelling is very important. Do maths, build up your logical skills. If not, one day, if you grow up and you don't study, you might end up becoming an NAFO. So it's a bad career choice, and you will look very silly and stupid. So don't become NAFO. Study hard. Okay. So that's all from Zalizny. And the last frontline change, we move all the way to Vodian, and this is one massive thing. Remember, I just told you just like 1 or 2 SITREP ago that there must be some kind of attack at advance in this area, but due to operational secrecy, we're not getting the information. Because it's the front line. Everything have to be kept secret, and now the secrecy is unveiled, and now we have Russian forces geolocated, basically just off the highway. Can you imagine that? So this geolocated by Crimean Caprice. So they have geolocated motorized rifle unit just off the highway at this position, and this is extremely advanced position. And from the furthest point in terms of from our mapping, this is more than 5 kilometers. At the shortest point is at 3 kilometers. Along the tree line, probably around 3 kilometers plus. This is a massive advance. And of course, this has not happened over 24 hours. This happens over a week at least, because we haven't had much map updates around here. And given the previous map updates that we have, the frontline changes that we have, I know that the front line here has already collapsed. The defense line is already totally collapsed, and the Russians are going to make quick progress, but there is always no updates. So this is exactly what I'm trying to say. When updates comes, it's going to be shocking, because the front line have already collapsed. The Russians are moving much faster, and if they don't report it for multiple days, once the information drop, it's going to be shocking. And this is exactly what has happened. Russian forces captured massive amount of grounds around here. They're going down all along the these lower grounds and the tree line. And clearly this area here is untenable. I don't think there's any Ukrainian forces around here. They probably would have bounced by now. And the Ukrainian forces along the northern part is going to be under stress, as the Russians have already reached. And with this Russian forces around here, this is going to change the entire strategic situation around here. The logistics of the Ukrainians are going to be heavily hampered by this capture. And this brings us extremely close to Vodian, and Vodian is just here. We can see the Dacha region. Oh my god, this Dacha looks like some graveyard, man. So anyway, so this brings them basically just less than 2 kilometers away from Vodian, and we are now moving this fighting towards Vodian. We start to indicate it over here. So serious development over this area here. So anyway, these are the frontline changes report. And if I happen to extract this into a extracted report for the main channel, so do press the like button, subscribe, and check out the rest of the SITREP over at the DPA War channel. So just in case, maybe I would, maybe I would not, So let's go into the strategic and tactical reporting. Over at the Kharkiv front, no, not Kharkiv front, Sumy. At the Sumy region, I believe there is a attack. Okay, maybe I remember wrongly. Did I? Huh. Oh, it's here. Sorry, it's in Kharkiv. So okay, Ken. My mistake. So because this was so out of the way, I was like, I thought it was in Sumy. So Russian forces attack at Veterinani. There is fighting reported at Kliboke, over at Staresia, Voschans, and at this very unusual location at Krule. So these are the few places that there is some fighting. So we just go into details right now. At Veterinani, the Russian forces reported that they have attacked Ukrainian forces around here. Not very significant. I don't think the Russians are making any serious push yet. And this is nowhere close to the previous incursion that was more successful at Sonitsky Kozachok. Is it what I call Sonitsky Kozachok? Correct. I remember the name correctly. So, but a Russian capture of Kozacha Lopan might be very attractive for the Russians, but I think they tentatively don't want to go there yet. Over at the Lipsy sector, Russian forces are clashing with the Ukrainians over at Kliboke. Both traded accusations of being the one defending, and there is geolocation of Russian FPV strike of Ukrainians south of Kliboke, confirming Ukrainian presence around here in the southern outskirts of Kliboke. There's no fighting being reported at Lipsy region. The main battle is now over at Kliboke, so we will just continue to monitor and see how this develops. Definitely, the Russians are pretty happy with trapping the Ukrainians at this area here. Over at Staresia, as mentioned in the frontline changes report, there is some fighting reported in the Staresia region. It's just that the front line is now very uncertain due to this fog of war. So we will just wait and see if we can have any corroboration in the near future. Moving into the Battle of Voschans. The Russians are now on the offensive. Ukrainians are still continuing to send reinforcement up, but then all these pontoon crossings and whatnot, engineering equipments are constantly under Russian strikes. This is according to the information coming from the Russian side, and Russian forces also seems to have managed to conquer this entire industrial area here, and managed to link up much better with the aggregate plant where the Ukrainians failed to eject the Russians from. So Ukrainians still have presence in the northern bank of the Voschans, but the situation is of course not that good. But they are holding on right now. So they continue the battle. From my understanding, the Ukrainian forces have invested the most effective forces into this battle in the Kharkiv front. So, and they also sent the most reinforcement and think most of the best trained troops around here. So so the Kharkiv front is definitely going to be a hard fight, and that's exactly what the Russians want as well, because it's a massive, great distraction to give the other front line more maneuver space. So there is other geolocation like a airstrike in these two different locations. Russian forces airstrike Ukrainians within this southern part of the Voshchans. So that's about it. And then we have this very peculiar one where there's fighting reported at Krule or Kruloye, according to the Russian Defense Ministry. Probably just some kind of an incursion to distract the Ukrainians. So I don't think this is anything significant, but if they do take this seriously, I think the Ukrainians will struggle to deal with this, given that it would just stretch them into yet another very off the beaten path route. Like you have to go one big round, and or you have to go along a lot of very small roads to reach. You can see that these are all very remote villages. The main road is going all along through Volokivka, so and they have to go through Kolosias. So I mean, this is just one hell of a difficult place to reach. So who knows? Maybe the Russians will just want to do this, which reminds me of Senitsky Kozachok, which is exactly the same situation where it's very out of place and it's very difficult to reach. So yeah, the Russians may just do that just for fun. So over at the Kupiansk region, there is fighting reported at Sinkivka, Pishane, as well as Berestove. There is a weird report of fighting reported at Novosinove, which is a very here very deep. I'm not sure why they put it in this way. Sometimes you might think that the Russians may have some more advanced position to cause the naming of Novosinove. But this is not the first time the Ukrainian Defense Ministry have called this. The last time was in June, more than a month ago. Very weird. But I just put it here, and see how this goes. Some geolocation south of Stepova Novoselivka, signifying the Russian push along the railway line as they continue to make slow advance, and Ukrainians have this strong position along the junction of the railway line and the highway, which was struck by FPV drone strike. This area here is also a magnet for artillery, TOS-1A, and maybe not TOS-1A, but airstrikes in this area here is constantly getting struck by Russian forces. So Russian forces also doesn't seem to be storming Stepova Novoselivka just yet. So I continue to believe that they are just using this as a kill box. So until the circumstances change, I will just believe that this is the case. So moving on. No updates regarding Pishane. I believe that the next update we're probably going to see the capture of almost near capture of Pishane, because there is some radio silence about the situation around here. So let's wait and see. Over at the Sviatove front, we have the northern half and the southern part. In the northern part, we have fighting reported at Stemakivka as well as Andrievka. So that's about it. We don't have much things over here. Over the southern half, we have the Russian forces continue to attack in the direction of Gregivka as well as Mikievka. Makievka is of course the one to look at, to watch, because this is getting pretty serious. The battle of Makievka is getting pretty close to this endpoint due to the way how the tactical situation have developed. But yeah, who knows? The Ukrainians may still trap them for a long time. So over at the Kremina front, Russian forces make advance in the area of Terny, and they are also attacking Torske and Dibrova. The fighting within Serebryansky forestry has died down, and also there's only just one airstrike being geolocated, hitting Ukrainian forward operating positions. And of course at Terny we have this situation. So Terny, Ukrainians have previously have some successful counterattack in this area here, taking back some important grounds, defending Terni. And the Russians previously have constantly tried to push in this direction, and this direction doesn't seem to be working out. And it seems like this is a bit too difficult for them to fight through. So the Russians seems to now move in the new direction. They are moving up towards the northern part, probably going to swing and attack from the north. And I think this would be a much better direction to attack in, because there's so many covering positions around here. It's a bit hard to attack through this area here. Here is a bit more open. Maybe will play into the advantage of the Russians' advantage in terms of the equipments, heavy equipment numbers and whatnot. But we shall see. Otherwise, yeah, this is what we are probably looking at right now. And we move on. Over at the Sivers front, this is still as activated as always in these recent times. Fighting reported below Horivka, Verkhamokanyamsky, Sperne, Vimka. And at Rosolivka, but we have something new. Fighting is now reported at Fedorivka. This, we haven't seen fighting in this area since a long time, since the Wagner era, and that was a time where I did not put this historical reports of all these battles. So there is some fighting reported at Fedorivka right now. Seems like the fighting is getting very interesting around at this sector, as the Russian forces has already previously reported to be attacking Perizne. So the Russians are making push. They are attacking Perizne from this area, and on the other side of the railway line, they are now attacking towards Fedorivka. So this looks pretty normal in term, but whether the Russians actually seriously want to push through remains to be seen. Is because the Russians may just be playing around. They're just trying to distract the Ukrainians and whatnot. Because it's not, even in computer games, you don't really have to push every single place. So moving into the Bakhmut front, in the Bakhmut front at the northern half, we have Russian forces allegedly attacking towards or in the area of Novomakove. This is according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. Very interesting. This is the first time we've seen the Novomakove being reported in any place. So maybe the Russians are making some good progress in this area here, north of Krychorivka. Especially in the frontline changes report, Russian forces captured the entire of Kalinina. And so there's a capture around here, and the Russians continue to put pressure around in the region of Chasivia. So probably they are just attacking across the canal and keep the Ukrainians busy. So this is the northern half situation. In the southern half, we have fighting reported at Andrievka and at Ivaniske. So, but no much details, so we do not know what's happening. And we move into the New York front. At the New York front, as usual, Torak sector and the New York sector. At the Torak sector, Russians' Torres offensive continues with fighting reported at Druzhba, Pivnishne, as well as Zalizne. In particular, we have some frontline change over in this Zalizne region and in this Pivnishne region. And as mentioned in the frontline changes report, Russian forces seems to have some small foothold into this neighborhood just off the high-rise building, while the Russians continue to hook up deep into Zalizne. And they have taken the school, and then I think the school could be used for a forward operating position for the Russians to expand their control around this area. But the hooking action does suggest that the Russians may just make this deeper push, because it seems like the Ukrainians do not have enough troops in the New York front, which allows more maneuver kind of a warfare. Like they can move in much more risky methods rather than you have to secure the front line, move in always constantly trying to straighten the front line. It doesn't seem to be that case. It seems like the battle around here seems to be a bit more fluid. From the sense that I get, it's just a sense. When you report every day, you does have some sense of what might be happening. Of course, is this just my opinion? It might not be true. Over at the New York front, there is still fighting reported in the area of New York, but we do not have any updates since the last frontline changes report yesterday. So That's about it from the New York front. Oh, there is a fighting reported at Alexandropol or Rozivka. That's the other name for it. So yeah, some fighting around here, but no, not important. No one talks about it. Over the northern half of the Avdiivka front, Russian forces are still harassing the Ukrainians over at Kalinove, and they are attacking the area of Novo-Alexandrivka and towards Vodizenka. Geolocation of Russian forces at Luzovatsky and Novo-Alexandrivka just confirmed Russian presence. Didn't really change anything, but yeah, this continues to be pretty much high pressure for the Ukrainians. Over at the northern half, middle half of the, actually rather is the southern half. So in the southern half of the Avdiivka front, Russian forces continue their attack in Novoselivka, Persha, Yasnobrodivka, and Kharkivka. There is no more updates tentatively at Novoselivka, Persha, because I think this is now getting pretty serious. They cannot update the latest information. So I think by the next time the information comes in, I think there will be much more significant change. But I think it will be pretty fast, maybe the 1 or 2 days time. So that's it from the Avdiivka front. Over at the Battle of Krasnohorivka, fighting is still ongoing over there in the Donetsk front, and also fighting reported at Kyogivka. In the south, there is fighting reported in the Konstantinivka and at Paraskovievka. So this is a continuation. I think this is pretty positional. I don't think the Russians are making serious push around here. And then, of course, we have the massive update at Vodian. So Konstantinivka, VUHLEDAR, this is the highway that links the two, and the Russians have now cut it. The Russians are now basically next to the highway, and they are now poised to attack in towards Vodian, and this will just mess up the entire strategic situation in this region here. Because with the fall of Vodian, VUHLEDAR will be extremely vulnerable, and the Russians can basically just carry on attacking deeper and deeper, disregarding VUHLEDAR and operationally encircling it, forcing Ukrainian withdrawal from VUHLEDAR. Because to storm into VUHLEDAR, it might be very costly. There's a possibility. So the Russians may choose to not do it. So Russian forces putting pressure on Konstantinivka may also need not fight at Konstantinivka. If the Russians continue to have success pushing through from Vodian into the rear positions, and the Ukrainians may end up have to withdraw from Konstantinivka to defend better. There's a possibility. So this push is significant. Just go for Bohoyelenka and this, and go for Novo-Ukrainka, go for Prashestivka in the pincer. VUHLEDAR will just collapse. It will just be an encirclement on its own. So there is other options. You do not always have to go head on and smack into the wall. Like the Ukrainian 2023 counteroffensive. There's always other ways to go around, unless there is no way to go around, which means I'm talking nonsense. So anyway, we move on. There's fighting reported at VUHLEDAR, interestingly. So according to the Russian Defense Ministry, probably some shelling. Over the Velika Novosilka sector, Russian forces are now pushing towards Blahodane, as I mentioned before. After the capture of VUHLEDAR, of Ruzane, they are also attacking Makarivka as they continue to leap hop northward. And there is some reports of fighting in the region of Novodarivka, according to the information from the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. So interesting, Russian forces attack in Uruzane by drones, Ukrainians getting airstrike. So yeah, this trade is definitely worth it, right? A drone for an airstrike. So this is the situation over at the Velika Novosilka sector of the Donetsk front. We move on. Into the Zaporizhia front. At the Zaporizhia front, the Kayamsky and the Orikhiv sector continues to be very inflamed. Russian forces attack at Malatomashka in the region of Verbove. No fighting at Robotine, but there is an attack towards Novoandrievka. Patikaki and Zarebianki is also being engaged. So this is the current situation. It's getting pretty active, but there's still no massive offensive just yet. But it's getting the intensity of the actions is getting heavier and heavier over in the Zaporizhia front. So, and we move on to the Kherson front. Kherson front, Ukrainian Defense Ministry just mentioned there is attacks repelled on the left bank of the Dnieper River, which is the southern bank, but they did not mention exactly where. They just say in the general direction, and I just simply put it as at a Pridniprovsky, since they say that it's in the Pridniprovsky direction. So I just gonna put it here to probably there's some Russian attack in this region here. Shelling is reported at Sadove as well as in the area of Mykolaiv. So these are two regions with the Russians attacking in here. So that's about it in Kherson. Very quiet. I'm not sure if the Ukraine is still there to move any heavy equipments into the Kherson front, because they are just constantly getting hunted and destroyed by Russian drones for nothing. So anyway, that's it. This is the situation report, or the summary for the day of 875 for the 17th of July. Press the like button, subscribe, and yeah, and I also published a video on my analysis, and I go through the detailed analysis of the Trump's attempted assassination, and also the political repercussions within United States, and on the presidential race in the US politics. So check it out. There's a link here. Some people love it. They watch the whole thing despite it's pretty long, so maybe you may like it. And it will also give you a lot more understanding of the current political situation in the United States, especially regarding the presidential election. So if you just sick of it, sick of US politics, you don't really understand what the hell is happening, I think watching this video would give you a bit more nuances of what's currently happening. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next update.